Okay, I'm getting tired, so I'm not going to be able to go much farther today. But the road continues down for like that for miles. Eventually there are houses, along the road. There's a bridge. It would, if a kid were to try to escape from the abuse that happened here, it would be very hard to get out. This is why programs like this build their programs out in the middle of nowhere. Because, it makes it harder for kids to get out, run away. There's nowhere for them to go. And, the people who live, nearby, along that really, really long, miles long road, if one of them sees a kid running away from here, they're not going to help the kid get away from the abuse. They've been told that, the kids here are dangerous and really bad, and it's frustrating that, we were labeled as troubled teens because, the truth was, I think the majority of us came from very abusive backgrounds, and yes, some of us developed really unhealthy coping mechanisms, to deal with those, abusive backgrounds. But, well, and of course, dumping us in an even more abusive place doesn't help. But there were some kids, I know at least at New Beginnings, and I've read, that there were some here apparently that were only here because they were foster kids and there was not really any placement for them. And that's kind of horrifying, that foster kids, starting from, sometimes even as young as 11 and 12, are just dumped in troubled teen programs, and then they're stuck in various troubled teen programs until they're 18 because there's nowhere for them to go. And I know at least 2 foster kids that were here at Paint Rock were dumped, when they turned 18, or, well, one of them I think was a little older when she left. They were just dumped at the Salvation Army with like $25 or something like that, They were homeless, once they aged out. And that's horrific. I'm thankful that both of those girls are alive. Yeah, and I pray for all the survivors of Paint Rock and New Beginnings who are still alive, that if they haven't already, that they'll find healing. Although I think there's only one person I know of who isn't significantly messed up by this place. There's only one person I know who's like really, really, really truly healed. Yeah, and I thought it was cool finding out she's a counselor now. But yeah, the rest of us, for the most part, were kind of messed up. Struggling to work more than part-time, or work at all in some cases. I don't know. I think there's a few people who work. But it just affects us in different ways. But yeah, it pretty much, there's a lot of people in support groups I've joined, with troubled teen industry survivors from multiple places that are very messed up by their experiences, and I found I'm not the only one that ended up in a wheelchair.